Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Ballcaps and Bagpipes, a Scottish baseball podcast. I'm John McKellar of the Glasgow Comets.
And I'm Jason Durr, former league president and Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer.
Welcome back to the show, Jason. I know that you were kind of busy the other week when I had Marina and Ewan on. That was a great show, and many thanks again to those two for joining us. Tonight, we're here. It's the end of the Scottish baseball season for another year. The Single-A Caledonia Classic took place this past Sunday. I don't know if you've managed to see the stream yet.
No, I missed it. I spent all Sunday in bed feeling sorry for myself.
Well, the live stream, of course, was this past Sunday on Baseball Scotland's Facebook page. Thanks again to Paul for having me along to host that stream. And it's the Tayport Breakers. They've done it again. An unprecedented and quite historic 3 trophies this season, Jason. Is there anything like that you can think of from back in the day that even compares to that?
No, back in the day, we only had the league winner, so that was about it. So the Caledonia Classic is a new thing, obviously. So, yeah, well done to them.
Absolutely. We've seen them win a Single-A division title and both Caledonia Classics for a team that's already really in their second full season. That's quite astonishing.
It reminds me a lot of the GBA team from 2008, where they went 1-15 the first season and then won the league the second year. So I guess there has been precedence of something like that happened before. But yeah, second year of the team, I guess if you're the second year team, that's your year. You just have to go from that year on out.
We're going to speak to someone from the Single-A Tayport Breakers. We're going to talk to Scott Black, who played second base this past Sunday during the game. It was a great game of baseball, actually. It was an 11-8 win for the Breakers in the end. It was a 5-inning game. The umpire and crew, of course, Thomas Haywood, a very experienced umpire. He had quite a lot to do. There were quite a few kind of decisions he had to make. There was one that was a balk situation and stuff like that I was very confused by, and I think a lot of the players were as well. There was a situation where I think it was an attempt at a hidden ball trick or something, was what someone said to me. And then because Captain Pan, who was pitching for the Single-A Breakers, took the mound and stepped on the rubber without the ball in his glove, that was why Thomas said that he had called the balk. But I was just completely confused as to why he was calling the balk in a situation that I was like, I don't know why he's called the balk there. It looks like they've tried to tag someone out over at third base. How's that a balk? But yeah, that was what the call was that was made.
That is the rule, yes. So if you're trying to hit ball trick, you cannot step on. It's either the mound. I believe it's the mound, not the rubber. So as soon as you step on the mound, then that's a balk there. So yeah, he called it correctly.
I'm sure that our guest this evening would disagree. We're going to get him on just shortly, but we've already got a couple of comments here. Both Stephen Loudon and my buddy Mark Joss up in Aberdeen. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks so much for joining us here on the live stream. They both said good evening to us. So, Jason, why don't you tell me about your night out that you had the other week? I had suggested that you might have partied well into the wee small hours. Just how far did it go?
Oh, it was a work trip, and it was the summer party for us, and so we started drinking as soon as we crossed the border, so 10 a.m. and went till midnight, and you'd say it was a little rough the next day and the next day. So it was good times. It was nice to meet everyone from my company because we're only required to be on a Tuesday, so to kind of meet people kind of outside the office hours was fantastic. But it was a long day. I haven't done that in a long time.
What was the Danny Glover quote for Lethal Weapon again? You're getting too old for this shit.
Pretty much, yeah. You could say that there, especially when half your office is half your age, so it doesn't help to try to keep up with the kids.
Yeah, enough about us though, Jason. As we said, we're here to talk about this astonishing team, the Tayport Breakers. They've won 3 trophies this year, the Single-A division and both Caledonia Classic trophies. Very massive congratulations to Tayport. A special congrats, of course, to Jason West, who's the guy who really brought that club together and is really the glue that holds it all together. They've built an amazing roster, pretty much out of pure passion for the game. The pickup of Shin Yen has really focused them in terms of their pitching. They know they can trust that guy. Captain Pan has come on leaps and bounds. Like this season in Single-A, he's pitched so well and he's been so consistent. And this past Sunday, there were a couple of situations, and Ewan and I touched on it the other week when we were on the show. They've had their back to the wall in so many big games this year. And I think in large part because in Single-A captain and in Triple A you've got obviously Shinyen. These are guys who don't let the moment overwhelm them. They rise to the moment, and they're able to sort of pitch in high pressure situations. And captain was in quite a few of them this past Sunday, through well over 100 pitches, even in a 5-inning game, and was able to get them over the line. And just massive props again to the Tayport setup.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's always nice when you start a new team and do have success early on. So that's going to attract more people. Is about say you've got a winning culture. It's exactly what you want when you start a new team.
Absolutely. Let's say we get our guest on for this evening. Hello, Scott Black. Thank you so very much for joining us this evening of the Single-A Tayport Breakers. You played second base this past Sunday. Massive congratulations on the victory over the Glasgow Comets, an 11-8 win. But before we get into this past Sunday, let's do what we normally do. And we'll first off start with how you got involved with baseball. How about you tell us about how your interest in baseball first started and what led to you becoming a baseball player?
So, my interest in baseball now, I don't watch much baseball, I'll be honest with you. I have watched the occasional game, I do follow a team, I suppose, but my original passion was American football. So I played that in Aberdeen. A lot of knee injuries, a lot of bumps and bruises. I thought maybe I need something a bit more slower paced. At the time, there was no clubs in the anywhere north of Edinburgh. So I put some messages out to what was in the Aberdeen page and the Dundee page. Heard nothing for a year about that. And all of a sudden, both pages messaged me back. Would you like to come play baseball? Yeah, sure, why not? So I lived in Arbroath at the time. So Dundee was a much closer choice for me. It was just me and 5 other guys maybe just throwing the ball about in the park. Didn't really get up to much. We were allowed to do one scrimmage game, combined team of Dundee and Aberdeen versus Edinburgh, I believe. After that, we just couldn't get anything going in Dundee, so Aberdeen was still looking to make a team, so we went up there. Played in Aberdeen for 4 years. Basically from the start of Aberdeen's club to the start of Tayport's club, basically, that's where I played. Played for the Oilers with Stephen Evans and whatnot. And then there was rumours that another Dundee Tayside sort of club was going to be formed. And I got a message from Ross Marnie, who Jason appointed as head coach. He asked me, do you want to come join us, be a coach? And I was like, do I? He's like, keep your number. I was like, I'm coming. and that was basically it. Just joined the Tayport team. Jason's built a great team over the years. A lot of new faces coming in, a lot of old faces coming in from other clubs. But yeah, been great.
You mentioned the number there, and you got told you can keep your number. Does your number hold a special significance to you?
So I wear 26. So I'm born on the 26th of August. My brother was born on the 26th of April, and my dad was born on the 26th of May. So 26 is pretty strong number for us.
Yeah, and now Jason, you started nodding there when you mentioned the scrimmage game. What do you remember about that mixed squad scrimmage game?
Oh my gosh. Well, Brian Edwards was the coach there, so a bit of a character. And when he had set the field up, he set up the field so the football goalposts were directly behind the shortstop.
Yep.
And was just like, don't worry about it. You'll just play around it. And I think we played uphill.
Right.
It was like the worst possible setup, and we had to tell him to change it. And then we still played downhill, and right field was probably maybe 200 feet, 220 to the card park, but it was the most safest thing there. But I'd never seen anyone try to play a game with a football goalpost in the middle of the field in play.
That's how we trained.
Was there any sort of ground rule regarding if the ball hit the goalpost or what?
We stopped it. We said that it's a safety issue. You couldn't have a game played with that out there. I mean, it was right in center field, and it was like left center, and it was just like, look, someone's going to run into that, and that's just not safe.
No, it doesn't sound very safe, especially over behind short. That's probably one of the busiest positions on a baseball field. If you get a ground ball that's hit hard towards you, and you have to make a quick move, that could potentially end up in a quite a severe injury. If there's a goalpost in the left center field, doesn't sound like an attractive proposition to me, who used to play left field as well, having to charge in on a ball and you're trying to avoid a goalpost.
There's that, and then Brian tried to umpire by standing 10 feet to the right of home plate and call the game. It was like, no, you can't do that. You can't umpire from the side. You have to come around there. It was a very interesting day, to say the least.
Now, Scott, let's talk a wee bit more about your time in Aberdeen then. You mentioned that you played under Stephen Evans. Now, he's a really well-known figure both in Scottish baseball and, of course, with what he's been doing with the GB setup down south as well. What are your memories working under him, and were there any sort of lessons that you took from him in particular?
So Stephen, great for baseball in Scotland. Fantastic. One criticism I would have him was it's his way or the highway, which is great when you're starting a team. That's fantastic because you do need that direction. And he did build a great organisation there. I believe at Aberdeen we did very well. I don't really remember records too well, but in that first few years we did pretty good. Memory wise, I know he just let me play. I didn't have too much experience of playing. I had some knowledge of the game. I know a few rules, but he let me play, and he let me play everywhere. I played almost every position on the field except for pitcher, I think.
I think I'm much the same. I've never pitched. I did catch a 6 or so batters for Albert Rodriguez earlier this season in a AAA game, just to show how depleted our squad was that day in Edinburgh. It wasn't pleasant. I've gotten the idea of being a catcher out of my system, certainly, after doing that. Let's talk then about your move to Tayport. Obviously, Jason West built that club throughout pretty much 19 and 2020. Yep. Talk to me about your first impressions of the Tayport setup and getting going there.
So I believe I am member number 4 of Tayport Breakers. So when I first joined, there was nothing. We showed up. There was a couple of guys. Some of the guys I knew back from the Dundee days, and it was just, can we get this going? Can we get this going? And slowly but surely, more people would show up. More people would show up. More people would show up, and we eventually had, what looked like a team. People didn't necessarily know how to play, but we had the numbers, which is always the first hurdle when you're creating a team. First few exhibition games, you might want to call them, or scrimmages. Questionable. But then once we got some more of the veteran folk, Shane and Marina from Aberdeen, Shin Yen, now Paul, Tom, David, a whole bunch of veterans, it's really helped with the young guys as well, like how to learn to play the game. It's really helped expand the team, going forward. I'm not sure how many people are on the active roster, but probably something like 40. How many will show up, I don't know, but it has grown a lot from day one.
What would you attribute that rapid growth to, Scott? Is there something in particular that you think appeals to people about Tayport baseball?
I think because we're so central as well in terms of Scotland, like in terms of, on the team right now, there's probably guys from 5 different counties. I live in Aberdeenshire just now. There's Angus, Tayside, Fife, Edinburgh, so people from all around. And it's a nice, happy medium in terms of distance between every other team. We're also very welcoming, I believe, quite friendly. I know some people can be quite intimidated joining a new club or whatever, but, we welcome everyone in with open arms, so.
Brilliant. And obviously the first season was supposed to be 2020. Coronavirus had other ideas, and you did get a couple of exhibition games in that year. However, your first full season was last year. Talk to me about that first season. It was kind of a tale of two halves, really, for Tayport last year. It was a very tough kind of first part of the year, and then toward the end of the season, and particularly into the Caledonia Cup playoffs, you guys picked up Shin Yen, and that was really, from there, it was kind of all guns blazing. Tell me about that first season last year and finally getting the Tayport Breakers into the league and playing regularly.
Yeah, so it was great to be playing games. But of course, the issue with any team is you need a consistent pitcher. We had plenty of pitchers, a lot of bullpen guys, but no one who could play like 5 innings, or 7 innings now. So that was our main issue. We could play, we could defend, we could hit, but we couldn't put the ball over the plate when we needed to. Adding Shinyan at the end of the year, night and day. We've gone from a team that didn't win any games to a team that are now, winning championships. So it's a big difference.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, you mentioned it there. You won championships. You didn't just win one or two. You won 3 titles this year. The Tayport Breakers. That's an absolutely historic season. Like no one has ever done that in Scottish baseball. When you hear that and you think about just how recently you guys were struggling, what does that mean to you to look back at 2021 and then look at now you've got 3 championships this season?
Yeah, it means a lot. I joined the team with the idea of building a team that would eventually win, and to have success so early, it's a really good feeling to see like, wow, we did build a good organization, a good program. We've added a lot of talent, and we're hoping to add a lot more talent, going forward. It does mean a lot. It feels great. All the young guys are loving it. All the older guys are loving it. It means a lot to everyone.
Tell me a wee bit more about the experience of this season. You guys had a kind of, I would say probably inconsistent is probably a fair way to put the regular season for the Tayport Breakers, particularly in AAA. Obviously in Single-A it was it was pretty much a dogfight between the Comets and Breakers from like the middle part of the season onwards. But in AAA, quite an inconsistent season. You managed to get into the postseason as the number 4 seed over the Glasgow Galaxy on I think one of the last days of the season. I think it was actually the last game. Yeah. Tell me about this regular season, and was it ever particularly frustrating? Because it's been covered by myself, by Ewan, on both the Single-A Caledonia Classic stream and the episode we did the other week on Ballcaps and Bagpipes. This is a team that, in big games, very often you guys had your backs to the wall, and you always found a way to compose yourselves, to get the bats going, and to score runs. Tell me about that happening over the course of the season, and what was the process going on there?
So we started the season pretty hot, I thought. I think we started 5-1, I want to say. Couldn't quite get one over the Edinburgh Yankees or the Cannons, which are, couldn't quite get one over them. And we thought, if we could stay consistent, we can stay number 2 and hopefully, maybe claw a game back against the Cannons and, maybe take top spot. Then mid-season hit. Guys, fair enough, having to take holidays with their family or work commitments or whatever, struggling to get numbers. So we struggled on the field. We lost some games we probably should have won. We won some games that we probably should have lost. And it did come down to the last day. We needed one winning in, and we just achieved that. And it was a great feeling.
Tell me about that last day of the regular season, because you guys had a lot to play for right up until the 11th hour. In Single-A, it was the Comets and Breakers. We went into the last day of the season tied with the same record. It was literally whoever wins today is the Single-A division champion. And in the AAA game, the Comets had already secured 3rd place, so we had already kind of established that we were going to be a postseason team. You guys absolutely hammered the Comets on the last day of the AAA season and got in as that 4th seed. Tell me about your experience of that last day of the regular season, because I remember it quite a bit differently than how you will, I'm sure.
So, both games were so important. At the time, I didn't think there was going to be a Single-A postseason. I don't think anyone on our team realised that. I don't know if anyone else in the league realised that. So we were going in thinking, right, so we win, and we've won. So that was really important. And then, we were thinking, how much do the Comets want the Galaxy in the AAA Caledonia Classic? Are they going to rest guys? Are they going to play a reduced team or whatnot? Get more guys playing time? They didn't. So we won that game, and we won the Single-A game, and they're like, well, we can't have you win both games now, can we? So they put out a strong team. And we were just fantastic. Probably one of the best games we ever played.
Is there one thing in particular that you would attribute that to, or Where do you think that came from? Because it was a very one-sided AAA game that day. Obviously, the Single-A game was kind of a lot closer. It was, like we've mentioned, the Breakers went down early. It was a 5-0 lead for the Comets after 2. You guys rallied back with 7 unanswered runs to take that game 7-5, and of course, the Single-A division title. The AAA game was a totally different animal altogether. Do you think maybe it was it maybe just the high from winning the Single-A, or what was it that you think drove you guys to have such a great game, which was something that, like you've said, you hadn't always been able to do all the way throughout the season?
So yeah, I mean, we had the AAA guys cheering on the Single-A guys when they were winning, and then the support, going the other way. Single-A guys really cheering on the AAA guys, and I want our guys to play somewhat ruthless baseball. Like step on the pedal when we can, and I don't know, we were just lights out that day. We were just playing fantastic all over the field.
You get into the postseason on the last day, AAA. As a 4th seed, you obviously had to come up against the number 1 seed Cannons in Edinburgh, and you beat them 6-2, I believe was the final score, in what's been called, one of the best games of baseball that people who've been around the league for a long time have ever seen. What's your thoughts on that day, and what do you remember from the semi-final?
Well, unfortunately, I wasn't there. I watched most of the game on the stream till the stream decided it didn't want to show me anymore the most important part. So I was sort of, did we win? Did we not win? I was just waiting to hear messages back. But from what I heard, the guys really, bear down on it, and just showing that passion to win. And it was the one team that we struggled against all year, and the last day against them, we proved we could do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what does it mean to have finally managed to get that win over the Edinburgh Cannons, a team that you had struggled against throughout the season, after you had such a hot start to the AAA season? You think, we're going to mount a title challenge. The Cannons just kept winning, and they just kept winning, and they just kept winning. Yeah. Like, it was so difficult to break them down. You finally get that win in such a big game in the semi-final in Edinburgh as well. That had to have been a great feeling.
Oh, it was fantastic. And, I was looking back at the iScore, and I was looking at see what roster was up to see if it was a depleted Cans or not. But no, that was a Cans at 100%. That was, every single starter was. I mean, granted, every single player on that bench could be a starter at any team, but that was like their 100% team, full strength team, and to beat them is a great feeling for our club.
So you get past the Cannons, best team in baseball in Scotland. A fortnight later, you have the Caledonia Classic final in AAA against a team in the Edinburgh Diamond Devils who had won 8 straight games coming in. Like, they hadn't lost since the All-Star break. Tell me about the Caledonia Classic final in AAA. I mean, obviously, it was delayed for a week because of, obviously, the passing of the Queen and everything getting postponed. Once that gets postponed, how are you guys feeling? Is there a jitteriness about it, or are you just kind of 100% focused? It's like, we beat the Cannons now, we can beat these guys?
There was a slight moment, mad scramble of, right, who can make it, who can't make it, who's willing to do what to make it. We had guys booking flights, had guys getting trains at like 3 a.m. or whatever to make this game. We got there, it was kind of a glum day. We had a slow start. I think everyone felt quite sluggish at the start. And then it did pick up, But me personally, I had a terrible game, But at least there's 8 other guys on the field, they can do what they do. To bring what's best for the team. I think we got, we were sticking close throughout the whole game. I think a managerial error, I would say, from the Devils definitely helped us, in my opinion. But whenever teams make mistakes, we got to benefit from that. So.
You say a managerial error by the Devils. What in particular is it that you think that cost them the game?
Their change of catcher, in my opinion. You can put anyone at any position, and they'll probably make most standard plays. You can't just put anyone in at catcher and expect them to make the same plays.
That's fair. So you guys went the AAA Caledonia Classic. I think it was another fortnight later, wasn't it? There was the Single-A final, because you had the Single-A semi-finals, and like you've mentioned, you guys over in Tayport. At one point, you were kind of operating under the assumption there's not going to be a Single-A postseason. Turns out that's not the case. You guys have to kind of get a squad together again for Single-A. Now you played second base this past Sunday. Tell me about the Single-A playoffs.
So yeah, like you said, we didn't know there was going to be a playoffs. We didn't expect there to be one for Single-A, and a lot of our guys at the end of the regular season thought, "Oh, this is great. This is it. What a great way to end." And then we're told, "Right, you got to play against everyone again. You know, flip the coin and see what happens." And a lot of us were like, "Oh, do I have to?" A lot of the older guys saying, "We've played so many games now. Can we not get rest?" But after that AAA Caledonia Classic win, that really brought it back to all the guys. Like, wow, okay, we want to win now. Let's not just have this AAA get all the glory. Let's go get some glory ourselves.
Now, going into the Single-A Caledonia Classic, were you guys aware of the fact that a win in that game would make history in terms of the number of trophies you won this season? Is that something that you were aware of and that you set your sights on?
I mean, I don't think any team goes out not wanting to win. Obviously, we've also not won any championships yet, and to go out and win one in AAA and then win two in the single is great. How do we improve on that now? Obviously, getting a AAA regular season final would be great. But I mean, I don't think it affects too many guys of, oh, we've got a championship, or we don't have a championship. We just want to go out there, play and win. So.
Excellent. So you guys win 11-8. It was a similar, sort of a similar script in the Single-A Caledonia Classic. After that AAA final, you guys went down 3-1 quite early on. I think there was an error that allowed you guys to tie it up. However, unlike the previous Sunday, the Comets kind of pulled away again and had a 3-run lead again. Was there ever a point where you were like, "No, this is going to be the day that it's not going to be able to happen," or were you always just, putting your reps in, getting at bat trying to put the ball in play and get on the board, or how did you guys? What was your guys' mindset at that point?
Yeah, so a lot of the guys they're really good enough in their heads. Then we've had it through, and we keep battering it into them. Each week, don't let it get into your head. One at bat at a time, one play at a time. So all the guys on the benches, all the guys waiting. There wasn't any thought that this is too far now. We can't call and bring this back. We obviously did go down early. Letting a few runs, silly mistakes, trying to be fancy and whatnot, trying to double guys up and whatnot, and it didn't go our way. Relaxed a bit. Pitch and change for the Comets helped us, I would say. But yeah, we stuck in it. We grinded out.
All right. Now I want to get your perspective on the balk call, because that was a pretty major call by the umpire at one point in the game. What was your perspective on that when it was called? I know that Ewan and I were kind of baffled over in the commentary area, because it didn't look like any balk situation that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And also I noted that Saeed of the Comets, he didn't advance as well, whereas I always thought on a balk, every runner gets a base. So I was completely confused by it.
So you're right. Every runner does get a base on the balk. So that was a mistake by Comets. Well, kind of. I said to Saeed that you get your base, you can go to second, and I can't remember who was first base coaching for the Comets, but they said, "Don't move unless the umpire tells you. Do not move unless the umpire tells you." To that point, ask the umpire, "Do I get to move?" Because on a balk, every player should get to move. In terms of the balk call, I somewhat disagree with it. The rule is the pitcher cannot be on the rubber, straddling the rubber, or astride of the rubber. Right? That's my understanding of the rule. I was a player with the ball, standing waiting for the person on third to move. He did move. I tagged him. Okay, maybe I shouldn't expect Wolfie to see that play. He's watching it. He doesn't notice it. Okay, that's on me. Tom didn't see it. Paul says he's seen Captain on the rubber. I didn't see him on the rubber. So it is what it is. You can't expect the umpires to follow the ball all the time, can you? So.
I mean, I think it is in a situation, particularly in our league, where we just have to defer to the experience of a guy like Tom, who's been there and done it at pretty much every level imaginable. So it is very much a situation where it's like, okay, well, as far as I can see, like, I don't agree, but at the end of the day, he does know what he's doing ultimately. So Paul Convoy, the Baseball Scotland president, I want to highlight this comment. You can see it on the live stream, says Paul.
You cannot see the rubber on the live stream. That is nonsense. I disagree.
I'm staying out of that because he's pretty much my boss now. Well, Scott, I just want to finish up by asking what comes next, both for your club, the Tayport Breakers. You've already alluded to that, so I'll get you to expand on that answer. And what comes next for Scott Black as well? What are your hopes and plans for next season and moving beyond?
So for the club, at AAA level, we hope to retain guys that we've got. Hope to elevate guys from the Single-A who have shown a lot of improvement, get them more game time at AAA, and we also hope to recruit more, whether that be anyone from the streets or if anyone's unhappy at their clubs or whatever, live nearby, feel free to give us a bell. We'll welcome you in. Single-A wise, Single-A, the league has issues with what Single-A is, in my opinion. At the start of the year, we just changed from a dev league, and the idea was to get more development for guys. I didn't see much development in terms of like how teams were playing Single-A. I think people were playing Single-A to win, sticking guys at single positions and not actually developing players as players. Going forward, I don't know, it depends on what the league does. I would prefer to develop players at different positions and whatnot, and that may sacrifice wins. If the rest of the league wants to try and win a Caledonia Cup, then we might have to do the same, which is unfortunate. I want to see some of the more, the greener rookies and the newer guys get more game time, and because of how Single-A was structured this year, I feel like we've got the same issues again, where bench players, we're still bench players. So going forward, I really need to think about how we do that as a team. For myself, I improve in every aspect of the game.
Now, it's an interesting take there about Single-A, and I believe that there will be further adjustments made to the Single-A setup, whether that be expansion in terms of like each city ends up with more Single-A teams or whatnot. But I definitely, I think that there is a lot of kind of fluidity as to what Single-A is going to evolve to be next season. But it's interesting that you make the point about how Single-A, in your opinion, isn't necessarily, while it's ostensibly supposed to be about developing players at various different positions and giving sort of newcomers and beginners a chance to play, you feel like that's not necessarily the case, and that people are sort of just playing positions that are maybe depth AAA players, and just because someone's like above them in the pecking order, they're playing Single-A every week.
Yeah, no, I was of a strong opinion that last year's Dev League, or whatever you want to call it, Dev games, they weren't great structures. We were getting 3 innings max, and really that was only really 1 inning, of honest baseball. And then how do you develop a player playing 1 inning? So we got 5 innings, which is great. But once again, we're not developing guys. Not really, in my opinion. I think we're guys are just going out there trying to win, and you just have the same players over and over again. We had captain playing pitch in every game, which is great for the team, great wins. We're not developing any extra pitchers, though. That's the problem. Same with first base, same players playing first base, same players playing shortstop. We're not developing players. I don't think anyone in this league is qualified to truly develop someone in terms of like sports science or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's something that the league as a whole needs to look into.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a headache for the big guy for the off season, but that's a really interesting take, Scott. Excellent. Thanks so very much for joining us. That's all from me, Jason. I don't know if you want to jump in and ask anything.
You kind of talked to the developmental league. Was it how good has it been for you? So I would argue also that that's up to the coaches to get your playing time there. Like I know when I was running things in Edinburgh for the Cannons, every player got 2 innings regardless of what it was there. So like I said, yeah, it's gotten more competitive with the Single-A. So obviously you're still going to put your best team, and you're still playing not in the AAA, so it's not as competitive. And that was the reason I think the league started up the Single-A, was so you wouldn't put guys who are new to the game out in right field and pray for the best of them during the game.
Unfortunately, I missed the whole start of that because my phone froze.
So it's all good. I was saying, so talking about, say, Single-A, how's it been good for you, for your development of your skills?
I mean, yeah, it's been good. How do I answer this fairly? When you're playing in AAA, you're facing a higher quality of pitcher and fielders, and I think you have to be facing better quality to get better. The Single-A for me was more of a, I wouldn't say confidence boost, that's probably unfair, but getting to do more routine plays at a slower pace, just getting to think for each play opposed to just playing on reaction helped me a lot. Also helped me, see how the game's played a bit more in terms of like how you manage a team, how you want guys to play, how you want to set lineups and whatnot. So that helped me a lot in terms of that side of the game as well.
Okay. And then also, explain your T-shirt.
Oh, right. So this is the Dundee originals, in my opinion. Which way around am I going? I'll go like this. So I've got Brian Edwards here, and then Ross Marnie. Oh, which way am I going? This way. Ross Marnie, and then Jamie Keefe, and then myself. We were the original Dundee bad boys. Paul Garner should be on that list too, but he didn't quite join Tayport fast enough to get onto the shirt.
So it's the core four then?
Yeah, basically, yeah. So it was us in Brian Edwards' living room, for him asking us for X amount of pounds to start a team, and he would just keep the money himself. And we're like, that's okay.
We could do a whole show on Brian Edwards. He was quite the character.
He sure was.
Amazing. Well, thanks so very much again for joining us tonight, Scott. We're going to let you go, and then we'll head into the wrap up. All the very best with next season and beyond. I'm sure I'll be swinging by Tayport at least once to call a game over there. So I'll catch up with you then, man. Thanks again.
Great to have you.
Massive congratulations on the 3 championships, and in particular, great job this past Sunday again, man.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming on the show.
So, Jason, that's it for Baseball in Scotland for 2022. We're done. I'm hoping that we're going to have a couple of off-season episodes again this year. There's one that I'm trying to put together in particular that's a pretty spicy meatball. I'm looking forward to this one if we can get it together. Before we go tonight, I just wanted to highlight something by an old friend of ours, Christopher Brown. He wrote a book, or didn't really. It's probably wrong to say.
Illustrated a book.
Illustrated his own book. It's called Baseball's Life Lessons from the Stars Who Played It, and I have a copy right here in my hand. Baseball's Life Lessons from the Stars Who Played It. Now it's only 41 pages. Like you say, it's illustrated and stuff like that. There's Warren Morris.
This is going to be great for our podcast audience. They're going to love the photos.
Yeah, so it's basically different players, and one thing that struck me was it's mostly different players from kind of the era when I was growing up. So it's mostly all guys that I know, and it's just like got some wee quotes from them about it's like it says on the cover, Baseball's Life Lessons, and each one is illustrated with like a kind of cartoony artwork of that player, done by the man himself, and there he is, Christopher Brown. You can pick it up on his website, and I'm going to pop that on the screen just now. It's on his website at www.chrisbrownsportsart.net. I heartily recommend it. It's an excellent wee book. It's not going to take forever to read, and the illustrations are worth the price alone. So, Baseball's Life Lessons from the Stars Who Played It by Christopher Brown, an old friend. I recommend getting that.
Also on Amazon. So if you want to get on Amazon, you can get it on Amazon as well.
Absolutely, yes. If you want to buy it from they who shall not be named, you can go there as well.
It was more a thing. I don't know if Chris ships anything internationally. I'm sure he does, but it is on Amazon, so you can pick it up that way as well.
What in my hand, Jason? What do you think? Of course, it ships internationally.
I don't know. Maybe you shipped it to somebody and shipped it over. But yeah, there you go. So
thanks so very much, everybody who joined the stream tonight. Thanks in advance to anyone who's watching on demand or listening to the podcast version. It'll be up in the next day or two. So until next time, which hopefully won't be too far in the future, thanks for joining us.
A couple things before we go. So obviously we have the awards night coming up. I believe it's hosted in Edinburgh this year. So look for further announcement of that. I looked up. I furiously Googled up what the hidden ball trick is. So you are allowed on the pitchers, pitcher circle, but you cannot get on the rubber. So there's the ruling on that.
So Scott was right. Is basically what you're saying.
So as long as he, like I said, he wasn't on the rubber or straddling the rubber or like that, then yeah. So there you go. So that's at least that's what the internet tells me. and before I go, I want your World Series prediction.
Oh, do you know what? Yankees over Braves.
Oh man, that would be boring.
Giancarlo Stanton is hitting God tier right at the perfect time. DJ LeMahieu is back, and he's looking pretty comfortable at the plate. I think Yankees can go all the way, and I think the Braves have got it in them to get back to the series. But I think Yankees over the Braves in 6. That's my official prediction.
Oh God, I'm gonna sleep in that one.
What's your prediction?
Mariners Padres in 7, of course. What kind of homer would I be if I'd have both my teams in the World Series?
Yeah, you've absolutely lost your mind, Jason, and that's why we love you. Quickly, before we head off, Jason West, #ChopOn. It's only fitting that we would end the show with Jason West for the 2022 season because his club has absolutely dominated it. Massive congratulations one last time to the Tayport Breakers. We've said it time and time again. Such a great setup, such amazing people, a beautiful ballpark to visit. I look forward to seeing the Tayport Breakers guys as a neutral much more moving through next season as I call more games on the streams.
Great.
And I'm hoping that you'll join me. I'm hoping that you'll join me for at least 1 or 2 of them this time.
See if I can make it. I've been busy. I'll be okay. Now, once I settle into the job, I'll be all right.
And catch the wave as well, says Jason. So that's going to be it from me, John McKellar.
And it's me, Jason Durr. I hope you guys are doing well and hope to see you at the awards show.
Yep. And we'll do a show with Paul Convoy, I'm sure, after that to talk through the different award winners. So until then, thanks and good night.
Good night, guys.